everybody. Today we are diving in deep with award-winning country artist and songwriter Jamie O'Neal. Jamie has captivated audiences for years with her soulful voice and powerful lyrics. She and I toured together with Reba McEntire on the Girls' Night Out tour with Reba McEntire, Martina McBride, myself, Jamie O'Neal, and Carolyn Dawn Johnson, and that's how we became friends. She and I have learned a lot of lessons along the way, and we're going to talk about all of them. So without further ado, I'm here with my friend, Jamie O'Neal. How are you?
I'm great.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast. I always tell this, especially to other artists. I know how busy we all are, and it means the world to me that you've taken time out of your day to be here. We were just talking about our hair. When I was doing Closet Chaos, I was telling you that I thought I really had like a neurotic issue because I could see myself because it was an Instagram Live. All I did was fix my hair just like constantly. And people were actually getting annoyed. Like, stop fixing your hair.
I do it too.
Yeah. So then we were talking about how your hair is like your safety blanket.
Like a security blanket.
Security blanket. Why is that?
I think it's a couple of reasons. Like one time I remember years ago, they said, why don't you, for a new look, do the ponytail? And I'm like, oh, hell no. I don't wear ponytails. I don't wear my hair up. Even for my wedding, like I just don't wear my hair up, So
Right.
I've always had it to the sides of my face. It's always been on my neck. And like when there's a gust of wind or those fans right at the start of the stage or something. And I'm like, oh my God, my bangs. I'm tied to my bangs. I mean, it's just a whole thing. So I understand hair neurosis.
I get it. And also I was telling you that my husband loves my hair back, but and this is part of my sickness, but, cause I always say openly that I have body dysmorphia. And so that's probably my biggest, anxiety or fear or worry that I think about other than like real serious things, but just on a lighter
level. Yeah.
I'm constantly thinking about my body and my weight and my size. So I won't pull my hair back if I don't feel like I'm skinny enough to have like a sharp jaw.
Yeah, I get you.
And I'm with you when the fan blows it back. However,
you feel naked.
It's
weird.
One night, we were doing a show and it was outside and it was so windy that I literally had to have them bring me a ponytail holder and pull my hair back because it was just in my face and all that. But here's my fear. I never want to be one of those women who sticks to the hairstyle that I had in my prime. So you know how you see women who like, they've never left their 1984 hairstyle with the bangs and all that. That's because that was their prime. Maybe they were in high school or college and at their best and their skinniest and they think. So I've always tried to be that person that keeps up with the times.
Or changes it like once in a while.
Yes. And we both have daughters, so that helps us a lot.
But like even Goldie Hawn, she's had the same hairstyle for years.
That's right.
So I think I will be the 80-year-old that's still clipping in the extensions. I mean, they might be silver, but it's going to be long and I'll have I'll be.
Yeah. And it's going to be around your face just the way you like it. Yeah.
Yeah. I won't do the little short permed hair.
I don't feel like your hair is stayed in a certain era though. I mean, I feel like your hair is totally in style. Like,
oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I've had is it longer or permed or, whatever, or changed, whether you straighten it or curl it. But I've always had long hair.
And have you always had bangs?
Once and I hated it. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I grew them out one time and my husband said never again.
Really?
He's probably the opposite because he's always said to me, please don't cut your hair short.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if you think about it, even in the olden days, like in the 1800s, all the women, no matter what their age, they all had long hair. They just pulled it up.
Yeah.
In a bun.
Yeah.
But I used to love, seeing like Little House on the Prairie. And when they would get ready for bed, the mother would let her hair go down. And I would be like, oh my God, she has the longest, most beautiful hair. when I was a kid, I used to pray for long hair.
Yeah.
I wanted long, beautiful hair.
We always want things that we can't have, I guess. I was born with bright red hair and lots of freckles.
What?
Yeah. And then as I got a little bit older, it got darker, but if I let it grow out, it's a dark red. And I always wanted it.
Me.
No, and I always wanted it blonde. And I've got photos of me with red hair. And I don't know. When I came here, I thought I'm going to get it the color I want it because I don't want to start with one color and then
change it. Mm-hmm. Do you remember Martina and I talking about that? How
her short hair.
Yeah, they did all the promo shots.
Yes, I love that.
This is Martina McBride. She's come out and then she cut her hair off and they were like, "What did you just do? Yeah. We just took all these pictures and made a video and all that."
I think she said something like, when we were on tour together, that she always feels like that short hair she feels more herself or something, like she loves having it cut really, really short. And, some women look incredible with that.
Yes.
Remember when you and I did the wigs on the Girls Night Out tour? We wanted to prank Reba. And so we all went to the mall and got those really short wigs and we came out with like red wigs. And I was just like, this is awful for me. I do not look good.
That picture we need to drop in again on this one because I was just telling Kylie Morgan about that. Because it was an end of the year prank, right? Or end of the tour prank.
End of tour, yeah.
And mine was so short, like even shorter than Reba's. And I looked terrible.
I did too. I mean, I felt ridiculous in that thing.
Me too.
Then, of course, Martina looked great.
Yeah, because she's a short hair. And she's so teeny tiny. And
yes.
So Jamie, this podcast is relatively new, but what I've usually been doing is just asking people not to do that annoying interview where people say, "So how did you get started in music?" Because I'm like,
right, same old questions.
Yeah, like you're doing tour press on me. We're going to talk about my upcoming show. You should already freaking know but I do want you to give like a little 30-second or whatever and just tell the world who you are, how you got started, where you're from, and, why you're so famous and so amazing.
I think it's cool. Like, I don't know if you watch or listen to Smartless, the podcast, but with Jason Bateman and Sean Hayes and Will Arnett.
And I love Jason Bateman.
Oh, I do too. And they are so hilarious and very sarcastic, right up my alley with a sense of humor.
Yeah.
And I love that they said, we're trying to we're trying to talk about what's not on Wikipedia or that people won't know, or they can always look up your website and find out certain things. For me, the one thing you and I really do have in common, besides having daughters who are singer-songwriters too, that's our other thing, and our hair, of course, our love of hair, is the family act. Like, I grew up in a family act where my parents were singing and dragging us all over the States and all over, wherever they were going. And we got so bored, and I would like scat along and sing along with whatever my dad was playing, whether it was George Benson or Roy Clark. And they watched Hee Haw, that kind of thing. And they were like, she can carry a tune.
Yeah.
And I was about 8, and I said, I want to go on stage. And my dad kind of laughed like, you're
too young.
Go on stage. And my sister was 6. And then I'm like, no, I've talked to Sam, and we want to go on stage. Like, if we're going to be out here, we don't want to be sitting side of stage. We want to come out too.
Yes.
So we went on stage, and my dad was like, we're getting applause. They were throwing dollar bills at the stage. Back in those days. And we were taking it to the arcade, so we thought it was great. We thought that was awesome. And so we started touring as a family act, and for years did, the family harmonies and went on Mike Douglas and some of the TV shows. And my dad really thought we were going to get signed as a family act.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but my parents got divorced, and that kind of broke up that.
How old were you?
13.
I was 12 when my parents divorced.
Okay, yeah. So
it sucks.
Oh, it was so hard.
It's so hard because when you're 12, you've had 12 and in your case 13 years of living in the home with your dad. Then all of a sudden he's not there anymore, and I'm sure your dad was. I lost my father in 2020 after a lifetime from 12 years old until 2020 of sort of chasing after him because as he was a wonderful man, but he was not a great divorced dad. I think his heart was so broken and I think it was difficult for him. So we didn't do the every other weekend, and then he took a job in Dallas. We hardly ever saw him. So,
that is really hard.
It is. I mean, it's, I've learned a lot about myself over the years and the effect that had on me for sure.
Oh yeah.
Did you remain close with your dad?
Oh yeah. My dad and I mean, the thing is, I don't think anybody ever escapes pain through a divorce. No one's ever like, oh, everything worked out great. Or it doesn't start. It's the bumpiest road. And, my sister and I, she was about 10 or 11 and, it broke up the act. That was number one. And our lives had been kind of chaotic before then because we never really had a home and we were always on the road performing. And it was always like that elusive carrot in the distance of, we're going to make it, showbiz all the time. That was 100% what fed the family and took care of things was.
Like Shane Stevens said yesterday, not to interrupt you, but he goes,
yeah,
we're always having to deal with this named Hope.
Right.
Don't you love that?
Yes. I love that. I'm going to start using it.
Yeah.
In that movie Clockwise, he goes, it's not the failure. It's not the giving up. It's the hope that gets you. It's
that
the hope that kills you.
Yeah.
And so we always had that. We always had that, one day we're going to make it, or if we could just, move to Nashville or meet the right connections. And even as a kid, like those connections and getting here I always lived and for that moment. Even as a kid, I never thought about anything else because we had a private tutor. We weren't going to regular school. So we had a really kind of weird, dysfunctional situation.
Right.
Part of it was great. And I loved performing because we did all the fairs and we opened for people like Dolly Parton and the Gatlins and the Oak Ridge Boys.
When you were unsigned and unfamous, but you got to open for famous people, that was definitely the bitch called Hope.
Right. Well, I was like, I want what they have. And they would, talk to me and, give me that hope, I guess.
Yes.
I'm like, look at Crystal Gale in those gowns. If I could just grow my hair and get those beaded gowns.
Yes, absolutely. Didn't you love Crystal Gale?
Oh my gosh. I still do. She's like one of the sweetest people.
She is the sweetest people. She likes all my posts. I'm like,
I know, I love her.
Sometimes I just can't believe my life. Like Crystal Gale actually saw my Instagram post and liked it.
I know.
Yeah.
It's funny how because if you're a fan, you're always a fan.
Right.
And I'm always a fan of people. Even like you and Martina that I've looked up to and listened to your new music and watched the videos and everything. And I just think that's one of the great sidebars of getting into the industry or having hits yourself is having people like, the Dixie Chicks or whatever, like your music. And you're like, wow, this means so much. When your peers actually do like what you're doing. And
And same goes to you. When There Is No Arizona came out, it pissed me off.
I remember you said that to me.
Yeah, I was like, here's another...
number one straight out of the chute.
Competition.
Yeah, you said something like that, and I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
I love that you're so
Well, your
real.
voice is so dynamic, and you and I both have very big voices and strong voices.
We like to belt.
We like to belt. That comes from starting so young and doing what
Either
we
that
did.
or yelling at people. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't yell at people.
Not a lot of people are belters nowadays. I don't know whether it's because songs are like rapid fire or, maybe staying more around in the 1 octave range, but there's not a lot of like belting, holding out notes and powerful songs. And I think it's kind of sad that we've gotten away from that and gotten into, a little bit.
Here it is. It's one of two things. Okay. They're either belting and it's inauthentic. I could name a couple of singers right off the top of my head, but I won't. But I'm just like, calm down and like give us some
dynamic
and let it, be quiet for a minute and then belt and then go back down to a breakdown chorus and be soft. Also, I was just speaking of how I see a lot of, these younger girls these days, the way they are performing and they're just overacting. They're over in the way they are on stage. And, you you and I are feeling the emotion just as much, but we're also cool about it. You know, like I think if you're going to sing a duet with a man, for instance, and you're going to be up there and it's a really emotional duet, you know, my advice to them would be to get a mic stand.
Yeah.
And stand there and stop making it so much about the dramatics of it, because we've lost not just in music, but in TV and movies and life. We've lost so much of what is real and what is truly emotion, true emotion and art. And I also can't stand that. We call it, is it cursive singing? Where they're like,
Oh, the vocal fry?
yeah.
Oh, yes. I know, what you
like,
mean. Yeah.
You're so
That's definitely more of a pop thing, right? Yeah. I don't know when that started, but
that.
it's like they're pronouncing words in a different way. You're like, what is that accent?
Yeah, and then they'll do a little bit of vibrato, so it's like, you're so, you know, and I'm just like, I don't know. It isn't what it was, you know, when you and I
mean,
came out.
George Strait, for instance, can come out, or Alan Jackson, and play in, you know, one position, standing up an entire concert and be
Yes.
emotional and move, you know, a gazillion people. And so I do agree with you. A little bit goes a long way.
Right.
You know,
That's a great way to put it.
I would never cut down I like so many different, you know, versions of whatever. And I would never cut down anyone necessarily. I just it gets old when it's like constant.
Yeah.
And, you know, for instance, there's things that you know are absolutely amazing that don't see the light of day and you can't figure out why. And you're like, oh my
Right.
God, this is so incredible. I mean, you know, Laurie McKenna and some of her songs that are like humble and kind, you can sit in a stool and not move an ounce and sing that song and you're going to move
And bring
a
people
lot
to
of people.
tears.
Yes.
That is right.
You don't really have to, like you said, jump around. But some people do feel like, I've got to prove myself. I've got to prove myself. I've got
Yes.
to prove that I can do it. So,
Yeah, I think they're trying to, you know, especially the women, I think they feel that they need to keep up with the men. And in order to do that, they need to jump around and do that. And where I just think, so for instance, I did a covers album in 2020. And I put all kinds of crazy songs in there, like "Come On Eileen" and "My Sharona," and I just wanted the fans to understand, like, hey, singers can sing anything.
yeah.
I'm not just a country singer; I'm an everything singer because
Right.
I'm a singer. And so we do "My Sharona" in our shows, and so on the breakdown part, when the guitar solo comes in, I start jumping around. I'm jumping up and down, playing the tambourine and stuff. And so that's a good moment to do that. If I did that the whole entire show,
Yeah. You'd feel ridiculous.
you feel ridiculous, and it loses its power because it's too much. You need that soft power. One of the ones that I think of is Casey Musgraves. I love how chill she
love
is.
her. Me too.
She comes out on stage. She started with, we went to see her at Alabama Theater 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4, 5, who knows. But she came out and the show started with her going, start out with slow burn.
Yeah.
And it was so chill and it was so, and people went insane.
They go nuts. Yeah.
They go nuts. I love that.
I do too.
I love
I
that.
mean, when Taylor does, that's what I do love about her I don't know if you saw the Eras show.
I did not get to.
So incredible. And her singer-songwriter part, whether it's at the piano or with a guitar, is so simple yet effective. And yet she can have the dance steps and the dancers come out and all the production. And the crazy stuff too is that to me, she appeals, you know, there's 4-year-olds all the way up to 80-year-olds.
Yeah, she's an anomaly.
She totally is. There's no
totally
one like her and never will be, but
And you can't
everyone
compete.
loves her too, I feel like.
Right.
She is such a great connector.
Yeah.
And I feel like that speaks to who she is as a person, is that she is genuinely into other human beings.
She is. She's very kind.
She is.
And she is such an amazing songwriter. I mean, I think you're an amazing songwriter. I think I'm a great songwriter. But Taylor says things in a whole way, you know, like her last album, that song she taught, Illicit Affairs. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
I'm just like, how'd you do that?
Which album was that on? Was it on Midnights or was it on?
No, name another one.
Okay.
Like,
because like folklore.
4 years ago.
I gotta
Folklore.
say, okay, yes.
The same one about-
in 2020 when we were all going through hell.
Yes.
And we're all home, like way too much time spent with the husband.
Yeah.
Way too much time spent cooking and peeling and drinking wine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, thank goodness we could still get alcohol, right? Anyway,
Exactly.
that album
The
when
gym
Folklore
stayed
came
open,
out,
the stripper club stayed open, and alcohol
and the
stores.
alcohol, yes.
But what?
I had Folklore on repeat. I was like, this
I did too.
album will forever go down as one of my favorite albums, you know, that I can like, okay, Folklore and Evermore for that matter.
Yep. And it's so chill.
They're so simply, I mean, I say simply, they're not simple, I'm sure. There's a lot of work,
Right.
the production that goes into it, but they sound simple. There's nothing getting in the way of the emotion of the lyric.
Right.
And the way she sings it and the way you believe her.
Right.
You know, I mean, because other young girls that move here, you know, they're a little bit naive in that they'll be like, well, you know, Taylor did this, and if she can do, I'm like, no, what you don't realize is too, not only is she an incredible songwriter, but her believability factor.
Right.
Every time she sings anything, you believe it. And I think that's what I tell people when they say, what should I do? How do I make it? And I'm like, figure out how to make people believe what you're singing about. Because
That's an amazing piece of advice.
yeah, I mean, it's so true though, because half the people that I hear, I don't believe them, or they just don't sound like they're connected to what they're saying.
Correct.
For whatever reason.
That's what I'm trying to say about the dancing and the you're not connected to that, and I'm not connecting to you. But Taylor, whether she's singing "Shake It Off," or "Illicit Affairs," or the one about an invisible string. Who thought to say, "Isn't it just so pretty to think all along there was some invisible string tying you to me?"
Yeah.
And that to me is also, that's religious. I mean, that is like saying.
And the Aaron Dessner production is one of my favorites. And the Moss House, like the whole thing.
It's incredible.
When you see the show, you have to go see it.
I know. I never got to. I was just on the road, too busy.
I know. Obviously, if you're playing, it's hard to catch a show. But if you get a chance, it's like one of the best things I've ever seen.
Okay. I'm really, really,
and
really,
I want to
really
go to the Sphere, too, and see, you know, in Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. That show's going to be.
Let's go together.
We should. That would be incredible. I'm
and then we'll go
hoping
backstage and
Coldplay
hang with
goes
her.
there. Oh, well, I don't know if she's going to the Sphere, but you know the big globe that's all lit up in Vegas, where it's actually like a video screen, but it's an entire globe of video, and U2 was there. John Mayer's going to be there, and Coldplay is who I'm hoping is going.
Okay.
That's who I love. The Eagles are there. I mean, it's just an incredible, it looks amazing, and I want to go.
Okay.
So we'll do that.
We'll do that. Do you gamble?
Not really. I'll just hang at the bar and you can gamble.
I don't gamble.
Oh, so there we go. That's perfect.
I don't
I'd
gamble.
rather have the $20 in my pocket.
Yeah. I'd rather go back to my bus.
Yeah.
Put my sweats on.
And the casinos ain't getting anything out of me. I can tell you that right now.
No. Because we can't walk through the casinos, especially when we're playing there, because we're just going to get stopped. And, you know, but another thing I wanted to talk about was just the fact that you and I had the amazing opportunity to be invited on the Girls' Night Out tour, which was opening for Reba McEntire. So it was Reba McEntire, Martina McBride, me, you, Carolyn Dawn Johnson. And
so much fun.
That was I just talked about it, one of the best tours that I think I've ever been on. Don't you agree?
Oh my gosh. It was everything to me because it was my first big tour, but it was all females and we all like bonded and had fun and talked about everything and laughed and sung together too. In the finale, didn't we do like 3 or 4 songs?
We did Girls' Night Out.
Yeah.
And I think either Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia or Fancy or one of those.
Natural Woman.
And Natural Woman.
And we did, an Eagles song, didn't we?
I I can't remember. But I do. Do you remember? So we would go out at the end waiting for the encore and have our ears in and tell everybody what we would hear.
Somebody talking
to Reba.
to Reba. And I thought, what in the world? Well, first of all, if my husband talked to me in my ears, no.
I would kill him.
I would go. Thank you.
I would kill him.
I would go over and slap. But he was reminding her, like, so and so sitting in the front row,
and he would say,
he'd make her milk it.
Yeah, he would go. So she would say, well, thank you so much. Did everybody have a great time here in Illinois? And then they would go crazy clapping, and he would go, hold, wait, Reba, wait, let them keep clapping. And then he would go, okay, ask them how they liked the fair, or ask them if they went to the rodeo. Like, he was in her ear talking to her. Now, I'm not criticizing it. I'm just saying it was shocking to me.
It was shocking to me too.
Because
it's funny you mention that.
Yeah, she's the best.
Who knows? That could have been his controlling thing.
Yeah.
It could have been, who knows what the reasoning was for that. Maybe she likes to have someone remind her of things in the moment.
Maybe she talked too fast. I don't know.
For me, I would have been completely distracted. It would have put me off my game, and I would be no, I couldn't take it.
It put me off my game before the encore.
Yeah.
I was like, Narvel, shut the up.
I just remember being in the dressing room, and when we were all discussing it or something, like what songs were going to get done. And Martina was like, we could do this or we could do that. And Reba said something like, my guys have been rehearsing the songs for about 2 weeks now. And it just like shut down anyone saying anything else. And I'm like, whoa. Yeah. I was just like at a tennis match watching all y'all, and just thinking, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe we're going to actually walk out there and sing together. But, at the intensity, too, of her level and the costume changes and, everything being timed out just right. It was more intense for her, obviously, than it was.
Yeah, everything was on her shoulders.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Lately, we've been watching Reba, the sitcom, and that is the funniest show I think I've ever seen.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, my God.
Really?
There's like 10 seasons. It's unbelievable. Reba is an amazing actor.
Yeah,
she's an amazing comedic actor.
Yes.
And whoever wrote on that show is brilliant because it is funny every time. You laugh out loud every single time. I highly recommend it. Okay. But yeah, I'm so glad that we both got to be on that tour and that's where we met and that we've remained friends all these years.
Absolutely.
And, you say friends in the business, but it's like if you get to see each other once a year, that's friends because everybody's out of town all the time.
So busy, yeah.
But I think that you and I both will always love Reba for
I wish they'd
many
do
things.
A part 2 of that tour. I mean, because
Me too.
even now there's not a big female tour that goes out, and I just think it would be so incredible.
It would be so incredible. Yeah. Although I still get tongue-tied when I'm around Reba.
Oh, yeah, me too.
God, she's such an icon.
She really is. And she's so sweet, but in your mind, she's probably more of can be a serious person.
Yeah,
and
she's a businesswoman.
Yeah. So in your mind, you're not thinking that, you're going to be cracking a joke or anything like that. So that always makes you feel a little bit more intimidated, I think.
Yeah. She's very serious about what she does, but she's also so kind. And those are the people that are always long lasting. The people that stay nice.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. You have a new album
coming out this fall.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Is it amazing? Do you feel like you're getting better and better and better? Because I feel like I'm a better singer now.
That is a loaded question. That's so hard to answer, isn't it?
No, I'm better than I was 20 years ago. I'm a better singer.
Fantastic.
I'm a better performer. I'm a better songwriter.
I always do. I do think I'm a better performer in that it is easier for me to entertain people than it's ever been because I love to talk, I can read the room and see what kind of crowd it is. And, sometimes when you're first coming out and, you're opening for someone on tour and you've only got like 30 minutes to sell yourself, or then it comes 45 and then you do your own shows, but it's still fast paced.
Right.
Now, a lot of the places I'm playing, the PACs or whatever, theaters, fairs, I do feel like it's more about telling the stories and
Yes.
talking about life stories with my husband, because he plays in my band and we've been together for so long, 28 years, I guess.
Are you
so
just
there's
sick
a
of
lot
him?
to talk. I'm
No, I'm just
so tired of his.
And rocks.
There's thank you, that's sweet. He'll love to hear you say that. He'll probably print that out and put it on the fridge.
Well, he's so
Sarah
sweet.
Evans said I rocks. He is sweet. But we're not meant to be with someone 24/7, every single day.
Now,
You know how
that's
they say,
true.
There's that one soulmate for everyone. I'm not sure if that's true.
It's not true.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that any one of us could have married. I mean, I don't believe in that. I just believe in commitment.
And we change too. I believe in commitment too.
Yeah.
And sense of humor getting you through hard times. And I always say, when people say, what's the secret of being together for so long? He still makes me laugh. Like I hear his ridiculous stories sometimes that I've heard before, but I still laugh because he's so funny, his delivery of them and his heart. And one of the things, I guess, coming from Australia, having lived in Australia, and then in the States, I lived in LA, for a time. And I feel like he was so real. He's so country. He's from East Tennessee. And so down to earth. And just like, he is unashamedly, like, he's not afraid to be who he is, no matter who he's with.
Yes.
And that to me was so refreshing.
Yes.
Because it is easy to put up a wall and to be like, oh, today I should be this person,
Right.
And he never did that.
Authenticity in a person is one of the things that I respect and honor and value the most.
Absolutely.
I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And loyalty.
And loyalty.
So.
Yeah, I don't think that there's one soulmate. Now, Jay is the love of my life. He's the great love of my life. He is my best friend. He's my husband. He's my person,
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not that if I would have never had the opportunity to meet Jay, that I would have been alone.
Right.
I could have also found love. Now, I'm so grateful that it was Jay, because we've been married a relatively short time compared to our ages. So we've been married 16 years. We just celebrated. And so we're still very much like, I think he's the cutest boy I've ever seen, and I'm so attracted to him. And, also the test is the tough time when you go through a tough time, and then that person is willing to do anything to keep you. Well, that makes you feel so loved.
It does. Yeah.
And I do believe strongly in commitment, and he is my kid's dad. And so, there are 7 children between the two of us. He has 4 and I have 3.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
That has to have been busy when they were teenagers. I can't even imagine.
It was awesome.
'Cause I have
loved
one.
every minute of it. But here's the thing.
And you come from a big family.
I come from
so,
7.
Yeah.
But so I watched my mother, be able to prepare a meal for 9 people, out of nothing. And so I cooked all the time. But we had his children every other weekend. But mine lived with us full time. So we had 3 all the time. Well, all the kids were so little when we got married. Like, my girls don't even remember our wedding. So all that to say is, we had the fun, weekends where it was all 7 kids and all we did was play sports, and I cooked, and then the regular day to day was the 3 kids. And I know that hasn't always been easy for Jay, because it's hard to be a divorced dad and remarry someone with kids, because you worry constantly that, that are my kids hurting because I'm living with other children, and it's just divorce sucks,
right?
In general.
Yeah.
All that to say, not to make this conversation about me, but the commitment part is what I was so committed to because my children see him as their father.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to put anybody through in anything. And it's really, truly miraculous. And that's how I know that God is real and God is so good. But I agree with you,
and
that
having been through a divorce yourself, it's like, you don't want to do that to your kids. It's
again.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's so hard. It's so awful. And I know my daughter, you try to shield your kids too from the bad times.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't, and sometimes you can. And one thing I think when people are going through an actual divorce is it's easy for them to kind of get selfish, which I feel like, and I love my parents, but I feel like they were in a selfish time of their lives because they had us so young. My sister and I were like 21 and 23. Mm-hmm. And so when we were teenagers, they were mid-30s. That's still a baby almost, you know what I mean?
Right.
And they had lived so much of their lives in showbiz trying to make it. I mean, my dad was kind of a celebrity in New Zealand with his sister, so he'd always been in music. He'd always been around that, like, almost making it and not quite getting where you wanted to be. Then he formed an act with his wife, my mom.
And is she a wonderful singer?
She's a dancer who can carry a tune.
Okay.
But on the road, I mean, it was like we had dance steps. We had the Partridge Family matching outfits. And my mom would we would go play in like the Bahamas, and she would buy tablecloths, those embroidered tablecloths, and then cut them up and make shirts. And then, so we'd all be matching. She'd be needle pointing and doing all these things. And we had matching overalls in red. And so,
oh God, that just breaks my heart that y'all were so tight, and then there was the split. I hate that.
Well, all that to say, I mean, I have two half sisters and a brother that are like my real full. I mean, we never say that's my half sister. We say sisters. So
I've got two of those. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like that's was meant to be. That's the godsend of, and I love my stepmom. That's the great thing about the divorce, if there is anything.
That's great.
That's the only great thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
that is great because it's, I will tell you, being a stepmom is hard because you're always trying to walk that fine line of, I don't want to, I don't want to
be the wicked stepmother, but I also don't want to be railroaded.
Right. And then when, my 3 and Jay's 4 are all together, I'm just sort of parenting all of them. Mm-hmm. Everybody clean up, everybody wash up for dinner, everybody, so yeah, but I would say when it was just my 3 in the home, I was definitely more
strict,
more real parenting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you could be yourself.
Yeah, I could be myself, and I wouldn't be afraid of offending my children. Mm-hmm. But although I've always had a ton of respect for all 7 of the kids. Mm-hmm. Now, are you closer to your mom or your dad? Or you don't have to say that, but I mean, are you still around?
My dad, yes, absolutely. My dad and I talk 10 times a day. He's here in Nashville.
Okay.
And I see him a lot. My mom lives in Australia, and my grandmother lives in Australia, and all of my mom's family are back there. So I have a ton of relatives, way more than in the States. Mm-hmm. So I guess my dad in a way, because we do have that closeness of being together all the time.
Right.
I tell him everything, and he sees a lot of what goes on in my everyday life.
Right.
And we've worked together. He's helped me in my career and things like that. So, but I did have to work through a lot of painful feelings or some resentment. I mean, being on the road and having to go on stage when I didn't want to go on stage. My dad is the epitome of the show must go on.
Okay. Stage dad.
If I had chicken pox, it was like slap some makeup on and shove her out there. She's going on. And a little bit of that carried over into
your work ethic.
My work ethic, and feeling like, by God, I got a broken rib. I'll still go on stage. I've got I cracked my ankle. I'll go on in a boot. I'm not going to cancel unless I absolutely have to, which I don't know if you remember, I had back surgery right before the Girls' Night Out tour.
I do remember that,
And I did have to cancel shows, and it was excruciating. I picture the person filling in for me. I picture me not getting ads. You know what that's like. I'm on the road playing free shows, trying to get ads. The label's disappointed. The label's pissed off. We could go on for days.
And
you're out there, sacrificial lamb.
Paid.
Yeah, you're out there on the road playing these free shows.
Right.
And other people are getting ads, and you're just like, you just don't. And then you get back surgery, and there's not a lot of sympathy. It's like, what's happening now? Or you get pregnant, and you need to take some time off, and it's like, what's happening now? How dare she decide to have a baby?
Now, I forgot your label. Was it Capital?
when I first got signed, it was Mercury. My second record deal was Capitol.
Okay.
But Mercury is where I was, and I'd made my second album and was making my second album and found out I was pregnant. And a lot of that is going to halt you, as it should, because you have a little newborn baby.
First.
And I remember Martina said to me, actually, she said, let me give you some advice. Don't get out there too soon. She said, I did. You're worried about your career. You get right back out there. And she was telling me this funny story about being on the plane with Delaney. And Delaney knocked this glass of wine all over the woman that was sitting next to her. And it always stuck with me because I thought, she really has always put her girls first and her family. And, for me, I did take her on the road and it was really hard. Oh my gosh, some of those early stories. And one of the shows was opening for Martina, actually. Yeah. And Aaliyah was a baby. And, but I just feel like the family thing, it doesn't affect the guys as much because they're not physically having the babies and they can go out on the road and not necessarily take the babies with them. But that doesn't mean that we can't do it all.
Right.
As women, and we shouldn't have to make a choice and we shouldn't be told by a man at a label in a position of power that, well, this sucks.
Yeah. I mean, or a woman in a position of power, because I've had women in positions of power say things like that to me.
But maybe they didn't necessarily have kids, right?
That's right.
I mean, because there are a lot of women I've seen who were career women who decided not to have families, and some of them still aren't even married.
Right.
Where they made that choice that it's more important to them to be doing their job and be in the music business than it is to have a family, which to me is sad because
it is.
But they don't know what they're missing out on. So there's that
right.
whole thing. You can't tell someone.
You can't.
Unless you experience how great kids are, you would never pass it up.
Absolutely. If any woman could experience that
just for a day,
that
feeling
when you bring the baby home, there's nothing in the world like it. It is the most endorphin releasing, euphoric. It's better than any drug. Not that I've done drugs, but
how is this possible that this little baby that you don't even know is going to do this to your your emotions and your life? Yeah.
1 hour later, after this birth, I will die for you.
Yes.
In a heartbeat.
Right.
And that only grows. And it is sad to me. I was saying yesterday, I think that, there's always a way to work things out. I was like, Martina, I would go immediately, like I would have a baby. 5 weeks later, I would be back on the road. I induced early with Avery in August so that I could be skinny for the CMAs in November.
That's dedication.
Right.
That is dedication. And I mean,
but I took him with me. I nursed him before I performed.
That. I saw it when I was on the road with you and Martina. I saw the motherhood, and I mean, how much you gave to your kids and how they were with you, practically on your hip as you're singing all and doing sound check. And that to me was like, gave me the feeling like this is totally possible.
It is.
I mean, there shouldn't be any question as to whether you can do your job
right
and have a baby.
And I also have never been one of those women that is angry at men, because how stupid do you sound if you're like, well, I'm the one who has to carry the baby. No, I'm the one who got to carry the baby. Yeah. I'm the one who got to experience that. Also, yes, Kenny Chesney can do 300 shows a year and I can't because I've got little kids, okay? During when they were little. But at the same time, there's a lot of country male acts that I feel sorry for because they have to leave their children. Men love their children. They miss those
milestones.
Yeah, and they love their kids. They want to be with their kids just as much as women do. So I've never had that feeling of being angry at men or, and also I have a son. So of course I love men. I mean, I would never want anybody to blame Avery for something that isn't his fault. Like, he can't have a baby. So,
right.
But I know he's going to want to be there for all of his baby's milestones. But yeah, it can be done. But I tell you what, if anything was going to sacrifice, it was going to be my career. And I'm sure you were the same way.
Same way. I feel like too, in the era that we had our deals and we were signed, everything was so different.
So much
than it is
easier.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, but some things that got said to us, I don't know exactly what you went through, but I've heard some things you talk about. But the things that got said to us, if they were said today, I mean, with cancel culture being the way it is,
Right.
people wouldn't get away with some of the things that were said to me or around me or about me from people in power.
Well, certain people would and certain people wouldn't. You know, because there are different standards. I mean, you know, certain people can say and do things and get away with it and it's no big deal. And then certain people say those same things or do those same things, don't get away with it. And it is a big deal.
But the fans don't know that this stuff goes on unless someone takes to TikTok or talks about, you know, this happened to me, that happened to me. In fact, I was watching Lainey Wilson's documentary on Hulu. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
No, I want to see that.
It's really interesting. And she's been in Nashville for 13 years. But, you know, you don't know these things unless you kind of see behind the scenes a little bit what goes on.
Did she have a tough journey?
I just think coming here at 19 and like lived in a trailer, you know, an RV parked in a field for a long time. I mean, can you imagine dropping off one of your kids at 19?
No.
To slog it out in the music industry, because we know how hard it is too. And that's the thing about being moms of performers. I know with my daughter, she's seen the real rocky ups and downs. And, you know, she of course wants to be an artist more than anything. But she also has she's getting her music business degree because she loves the music industry and loves the behind the scenes stuff too. She loves learning about, you know, streaming and analytics and all that. She's learned so many things, or publishing, and learn about, you know, they have to learn about corporate law and things. That we didn't study. We knew nothing about when we signed our contracts. I'm like, someone wants to sign me, contract, give it to me. Here's my pen.
Yeah.
Deep, you know.
Thankfully, the lady that was managing me, do you remember Brenner Van Meter?
Yes, yes.
She was also an attorney.
Right.
So
I didn't even have a manager when I signed my deal.
Did you not?
Didn't even, no.
And did you have an attorney look at it?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's...
Yes. I wish I had a manager, though, that could have advised and everything.
Right.
You know, there's some things that you get into that you, like even now, you know, because we're Sound Exchange or whatever, there's things that we don't know probably that we need to study about what's happening with our contracts, our old contracts, and, you know, recoupment and things like that, you know?
That is very true. Very true. And back to the having the baby thing, the one thing that happened to me that did stick with me was, you know, somebody at the label said, when is Sarah going to lose the baby weight? This was after I had Avery, my first child. And that really killed me because I've always had body dysmorphia. I've always, you know.
And no one's more worried about it or conscious of it than you.
Correct. That didn't need to be said.
To be pointed out and to make you feel like you needed to, you know, work harder on it than you already do.
Right.
See, that's what I'm saying. A comment like that, I don't feel like, I mean, they're signing artists who are way overweight.
Right.
They're giving deals to people and not making such a big thing out of that. And I don't think that someone would have the guts to say that sort of thing about a female artist today.
Yeah, because
so those are some of the good things.
True,
you know,
that's very true.
That wasn't around because I got told the same thing. I had powerful person at my label say I had to tell and mention another female artist to put down the fork. And that was a little warning to me. So don't let that happen, you know.
Right.
Or, you know, saying, well, she's the one who decided to get knocked up about getting pregnant.
Right.
You know, just an insult like that you just think, wow, you know, this is completely geared at a female versus like a male artist that they, I guess, wouldn't have to say that about, you know?
That is so true. And that is a positive, you know, that because what I want it is for everything to be about the music. I want it to be like, if there's a girl who happens to not be the typical, thin girl, but her voice is amazing, friggin' sign her. Put a record out on her. Like,
Well, the thing
look at
is,
Aretha Franklin. I mean,
it's not fair also to women who don't do what we do to be held to those standards, because we should be able to have a baby and be overweight for a while, or we should turn a certain age and be able to have a wrinkle or two and not be like, oh, she doesn't look as good as she used to look. Well, I guess not. You know, it's called time.
No one does.
And it's marching across my face.
Yeah, all of us. And here's the thing. I was thinking about making a post tonight and saying the most evil word in the world is the word still.
Right.
You still look great.
Are you still singing?
Are you still singing? You still sound great.
Right.
You're still beautiful.
Right.
Everybody,
so true.
take the word still out of your comments, because that hurts a woman, especially women, a woman's feelings. Because what do you mean still?
But women do it too. I mean, they say it too.
Women are the meanest. Women are like, she's so over Botox. I'm like, bitch, I get Botox maybe once a year.
That's funny.
It's just
that
so
is
mean.
Funny. I just wonder what crosses a person's mind that thinks it's okay to say that. To me, it's like the manners thing.
They don't think we're human.
Right. I guess so.
And they have terrible manners. Right. Okay. A couple more things, because we're running out of time. Tell me
I know. And I remember you said, tell me about your new album, and I didn't even go into that.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Tell me about that, but also, because it's boring to try to explain to people what's your new album. Like the other worst question on an interview
How do I describe it? Yeah.
Yeah, describe that. Or what can we expect at your show?
Oh my gosh, I know.
I'm going to be singing. You're going to be listening.
There are going to be some band members.
By the way, I have 2 employees from Australia that work for me. Isn't that weird?
Yeah. Michael, right?
Michael and Ben.
Yeah. And Michael, I know because he worked with the O'Sheas.
Oh, yeah.
And I love
yeah.
the O'Sheas.
Tell me, what is your favorite album that you've ever done, and the one that you're like, I am amazing, and I know it because I made that record, and I know that I'm such an amazing singer, because you're an amazing singer. You're still an amazing.
That's yeah. And you're
still amazing. No, you're amazing.
I don't ever really, there's those people, like my dad is one of them, puts on his old demos and likes to listen to himself and compares songs and stuff. I don't ever do that. Like, I don't usually listen to my older stuff. I don't know, for whatever reason. It's like I'm playing it most every weekend.
That's right.
I don't need to hear it again.
Now, I don't listen to any songs that I do live.
Yeah. Really?
No way.
Really?
If I were to go back and listen to Restless,
you would listen to an album track?
I would listen to album tracks.
Interesting. Okay.
Oh, I couldn't. Oh, God. I could never sit there and listen to Born to Fly, because I'm like, I've been singing it for 20 years.
Oh, that's funny.
Every night, almost.
When I redid my songs and did Atlantis with you, which thank you again for coming in and singing on that.
That was so fun.
That was so, well,
you made me sing so high.
I was so amazed because you just instantly got it, but also singing, a song that isn't your song and making it your own. And I was just like, oh my God, it made me love the songs again.
Yes.
So if I'm going to listen to anything, I listen to the duets on that album. Because John Paul White is like one of my favorite people in the Civil Wars. I love him. I was obsessed with the Civil Wars, and I will go and listen to that just to hear his voice on one of my songs.
Exactly.
But that's probably about it. Like, I'll listen to the newer ones. I don't normally go back and listen to the older ones. But to answer your question, probably the song where I would go, wow, I did that. And that was a time in my life when I was, everything was starting for me. And just the experience of singing such an incredible, iconic song was All by Myself for Bridget Jones. Because it was hard to sing. Like, I couldn't sing that note right now.
Yes, you could.
No way. And hold that out, that
myself
big. Right.
Anymore. That
and
one.
then hold it out. No.
You could. No. You could if
it would be 2 whole steps down.
Well, I think I told you.
You raised your keys.
I raised my
That's
keys.
Incredible. No,
I don't know why.
I've lowered mine. Janie Fricky said, "Do yourself a favor. Lower. Don't be afraid to lower your keys." And I was like,
lower
I'm doing
mine,
it.
it's harder for me. So I guess I'm just natural.
Maybe you're a soprano.
I'm a soprano.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm an alto for sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
So the lowering is going to just make you more comfortable, where raising the keys makes me more comfortable, because I feel like I can get more of a straight shot and then better vibrato. Lowers. That's why I was saying.
And instead of the scoop, you're hitting the vowel straight on.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I mean, I do think I'm going to an incredible vocal coach person who's a doctor at Vanderbilt, Dayani, and she is really teaching me to breathe again. Who knew? Because it's so much about breath control and breath.
Yep.
And, I flogged it out in the clubs for years in Australia. And I feel like that was like my boot camp, on the job training, because half the time we didn't have monitors. We just had to yell to be heard. Like,
oh, and you got the we're going to bleep all my cuss words. Sorry.
what? No, I love that part of it.
Okay, good. Well,
That's why I was like, oh, this is such a cool podcast, because there's cussing involved.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I said, I got
You can
saved.
just be yourself.
I got saved when I was 21, and the Lord knows that I cuss, and it's okay. It's not a salvation issue.
Yeah.
It's just kind of I don't know, it might be kind of trashy, but anyway.
Like a sponsor censorship thing.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
But
Well, some of these other podcasts really get down and dirty.
they do, probably the Jason Bateman one, because
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
But they Call Her Daddy. Do you ever watch that?
no.
Call Her Daddy. Talk about vocal fry. Because a lot of those girls that are younger I don't know what it is.
It started with Paris Hilton.
It probably did.
Yeah, like what did she always say? Like, what was her word that she said?
That's hot.
That's hot.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Yeah, it probably did start with her.
Wait, okay, back to breathing.
Everything bad did. No.
I just realized as well. Every now and then when I'm on stage, I'm like, go ahead and take some more breaths between lines. I don't know why we forget to
Don't
breathe.
try to. I know. I could never be a saxophone player.
Yeah.
Circular breathing thing.
That's right. But it's because I think we're both powerhouse singers. And
Yeah.
so we're like, I can hold. So I've got two main harmony singers, and then everybody in my band sings harmony sometimes, and then sometimes all together. The two ones are young, like 24. And I can hold out that note and slow me down like 5 times longer than they can.
Wow.
And it's just because of our God-given whatever. There's just a lung capacity that is there.
Right.
But
Well, that's why I do think it's good for younger singers, new artists. Like my daughter will play a 4-hour gig at Old Red, to when you sing songs where you're just really developing your diaphragm and you're getting used to holding out notes, unlike some of the songs that are being written today that are rapid fire or they're very wordy, so the breathing isn't there.
Yeah.
They don't learn to do that. So
Yeah.
it's like you have to train yourself, just like an athlete.
yes.
You have to train yourself.
Well, we are athletes. Singers are athletes.
Right.
Your vocal cords are a muscle. You're doing things that an athlete would do. Like if your brain says do this and you're able to do it, then it's no different than a quarterback or a great tennis player or a gymnast, And I always picture those notes, like if you're going to go for it, I always am like, okay, here comes a triple lux.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm about to do.
Yeah, I think that's why I use my left hand a lot, is because it's some kind of like subliminally I am reaching for the note and I'm pointing at the note and
That's
it's
right.
up here. And it just for some reason, it just makes me hit it in a much easier way.
Yeah. I mean, I can't sing without using my hands. It's just
I can barely talk without using them.
exactly. So how many shows are you doing a year?
It varies, probably around 30, between 30, 35.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not as many as you, I'm sure.
I'm
sure you're doing like 80 or
I'm
something,
doing
aren't you?
70, 80.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So is Dina Carter. I and Jody Messina. I played with them last year, and I mean, Jody can play as many as she wants.
She she is another one of those just powerhouse.
Oh my gosh.
It's always there.
Yes.
It's just always there.
She
No
is-
discussion.
Yep.
And, she's been through a lot of shit in her life. And,
Yeah.
so I'm extremely happy for her. But
Me too.
yeah, I'm torn because my brother used to always say we travel for a living. Or, no, we get paid to travel.
To travel, yeah. All the other stuff.
All the other stuff is fun. When I'm on stage for those 90 minutes or 2 hours,
That's the fun part.
that is the fun part. It's the joy. Mm-hmm. The traveling and being away from home is the hard part.
It is, yeah.
And sometimes it's excruciating.
I don't like too much time at home, though. I have to say, I love being out there, and I think it comes back to your identity. It's like you have to, as they say, die to yourself daily and die to your ego and the way of thinking that things are going to be a certain way. But my identity has always been as a singer, as a
Yes.
singer first.
Mine too.
And an entertainer and all that kind of thing. And then I feel like who I am on a daily basis, Jamie Good, and, my legal name, is completely different, than that identity, right? And that's fine and dandy. My identity as a mom is a whole other identity, especially when my daughter really needed me.
Right.
100%. I was on mom duty, and it was like the most important thing. But yours are still in Nashville. My daughter lives in Nashville, and we're best friends, just like you guys are.
Yeah.
But they don't need you as much.
Right.
They're not. You're not doing their laundry.
Right.
And making sure that they have socks matching in the drawer. It's that those days
Well,
are gone for me.
They don't need you
And it
physically.
happened in a blip.
It happened
Oh
in
yeah,
a blip.
emotionally for sure.
They need you emotionally right now. I
Right.
almost feel like, as far as we were talking about being away from home, I almost feel like it's harder for me now to leave my children, even though none of them live at home. But early 20s are very, very hard. And I feel like they need me more right now.
Mine's always shocked if she can't reach me. Mom, and I'll get like 20,000 question marks, and I'll be like, I was sound checking.
What was it like to just have one?
Very well, first of all, I wanted to have another one. I'd never planned on just having one,
Okay.
but I couldn't get pregnant again, and that was really
Sorry.
yeah, that was really hard. And especially because when she was young, she'd be like, "I want a little brother or a sister," and I was like, "Oh, you're stabbing
so
me in the
sorry.
heart."
I
But
never
now
knew that.
now she always says, "I love being an only child," because she gets 100% of the juice
Yep.
and the extra money and all that kind of thing. So I think she loves it. And she loves, like, when we go to dinner, it's like all the attention is focused on her because it's just
That's
one of
right.
her. But so I think it's great in one way. In another way, it's hard. Tim Nichols, songwriter, he always told me if you just have one, you're going to either be sending her on vacation with other families or taking someone else's kid with you on vacations.
Right.
And it was so true. It was so true. And I that's
What
the
happened
the
more?
hard
You
part.
brought someone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd be driving down the road with her and two of her friends,
Yeah.
most of the time. And that's hard too, because you don't get her all to yourself. And she's, carrying.
Well, you kind of don't get them at all when they
Yeah.
bring friends. 'Cause
That's
they're just
so
like,
true.
See ya.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And that's what now, I mean, she's a Gemini like me and a total
what is that?
social butterfly. June
June. When's your birthday?
June 3rd.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
You just had a birthday.
I know. And
Happy
she's
birthday.
June 11th. So it's like,
my
we would
gosh.
always celebrate our birthdays around the same time. And, she's such a social butterfly though.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little bit like that too. Like I could go out and see my friends and go for dinner and be, making plans and a planner,
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
Until you start going on the road though so much that you're like, when I'm home, I just want to be home. I'm tired, But she wants to
Absolutely.
like book out her time doing stuff. She loves it. So
Well, she's absolutely beautiful and adorable.
Yours too. Oh,
and
thank you.
We got to get them together because, the more friends, the better. I mean,
absolutely, especially like being in the business and trying
Yes.
to navigate through those tough times,
Yeah.
And I think I sent you a video of her singing Suds at Old Red.
yes. Yeah. It was so cute.
She has to sing 4 hours of covers. And I'm like, you need to put some like classic country songs in there instead of just, contemporary ones.
Right.
And,
Absolutely. That because these
learning
days
to sing those songs is important.
it is, and there's the songs today I feel like are short-lived.
Yeah.
So you need those iconic songs like There Is No Arizona and Independence Day. And, songs like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the crowd loves it.
They love it. They go crazy because those songs, and that's one of the things that I'm very proud of, and you should be very proud of too, is that we've got songs that
live on.
Yeah. I'm very grateful
that's the
to God.
thing. It's like that. Those are the things that we can be grateful for. Mm-hmm. We're still working. Even there's the word still.
Still.
We are still working, and our songs are still being played, and they're still being sung. And I mean, how many gigs do you go to where, a 20-year-old comes up and says, I grew up singing, or I sang your songs at karaoke, and you're looking at them going, wow, like their childhood, 3-4 years old, and now they're all the way up in their 20s.
Right.
And their songs, your songs have lived with them.
It's
and
amazing.
Still are. They're in their playlists.
Yeah, absolutely. Or when you can hold your microphone out.
Yeah.
And they sing every word.
So we have a lot to be grateful for.
We really
in
do.
all of our bitching and our complaining about all the other business stuff. Yeah.
It's hard.
We're still lucky.
It's a hard career, but you can say it's hard, but you're really not complaining. You're just stating a fact.
Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, I grew up on a farm.
It's frustrating.
And I would say that this is harder than being a farmer, and I know both worlds very well. And they're just a different kind of hard. Mm-hmm. And, but I thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here and spend
we
time
need
with
to,
you.
Get our girls together. We also need to get with Matt and KK.
Yes.
And Carolyn Dawn Johnson.
I love them.
We've got to make that happen. If you don't make it happen, because I'm leaving out every Thursday night pretty much and coming home every Monday morning.
Right.
And so I'm free on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yes. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Thank you so much. I love you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you.
Love you.